Hey everyone, Persona here.
Hello, I'm Rui.
So this video is going to be all about our little recent trip to France where we went around the Ankama offices as we were invited by Manaia, and then also the day we spent at the Ankama convention.
Our first quest was a 4-hour drive to drop off our dog with family, but don't worry, he had the company of his dragoon friends. Then we had a train journey to London with a quick change onwards to Lille, but of course we could not forget to bring along Single-Malt.
So here we are at the famous Ankama office entrance. Honestly, I cannot describe the feelings we had at the time. To physically be there at the place of the home of this game that we love was absolutely surreal. As we walked in, we were greeted with this huge Manaia statue, and then as you sort of go around the corner to the reception, there was this lovely Immaculate style property, which I must admit did look a bit tempting as an accommodation choice for the weekend. But upon further inspection, as we sort of progressed through the offices, we soon learned Ogress was nearby, so we decided perhaps not. As we sort of looked around, we saw lots of familiar installations, including a cow at library with this cute little wabbit reading a book, and of course there was the super citadel of Sadley Grove. We all compared the sort of IRL aesthetics to those that we've seen within the 20-year event in-game, and I must admit they certainly did it justice. And we all sort of laughed when we saw and confirmed that they do have these multitude of bins that they have there for recycling. Upstairs we found the Ankama support office, but they had seemingly locked the door and hid away upon a learning of my arrival. I wonder why. And to be honest, our personal highlight really was the Ankama live room. So took his time out of his day to show us around, explain their setup, and we took lots of cute photos as a group, sort of had a bit of a laugh. It was really great, and it was really magical just to be there.
And now on to convention day. As we arrived, there was a long queue, but thanks to Eslix we had VIP access and we were able to jump to the front. This is me. I had Bonta wings painted on my face at the Troll Fair, and of course I got my Uganak pin from the shop, which was an awesome addition to my Ankama lanyard.
At the entrance there were plenty of photo opportunities, including a zap, which of course we had to pose with, as well as a group of wild gobbles, but don't worry as they did not aggro. There was also a life-size version of the Taurus Mordal's throne, which you can sit on, and we also had the huge opportunity to meet Tot, one of the founders of Ankama, and this was so cool. I mean, at this point we had to really contain our excitement and not embarrass ourselves. Outside of this area was the Magic Mirrors zone, which included lots of really cool retro style Troll Fair games where you could earn camas and then go inside and exchange them for different prizes. We started then to go over to the Dofus playtest area, which included a really fun mini game where you had to sort of reach the highest score possible in exchange for rewards. And after a few attempts, I broke the 100k points barrier, ticked it off my Necro pass, and thankfully also earned myself some camas. We then did the same for the Waven minigame, which we found much more difficult because, to be honest, we're not really familiar with the game mechanics at all. And after embarrassing ourselves after a few attempts, we then moved on to the Ankama shop.
This was Persona's favourite part of the day, as British people love a good queue. We waited for 4 hours before we finally managed to get to the shop entrance. To make the wait more entertaining, we had some time to kill by listening to Single-Malt's soothing voice on stream. It was quite funny actually, because when we reached the end of the queue we found that the shop was yet another queue. Having said that, there was some really cool merchandise, for example the 20-year anniversary pins and so many plushies. I was very tempted by the Royal Gobble or the Bamiao, but there was also the opportunity to get these merchandise signed by the artists themselves. That's so cool.
Now let's talk about the Ankama Live of the day, and this was a really special presentation by Tot, presenting the history of Dofus. And this was by far my favourite part of the day, so thank you to Manaia for telling us that we could not miss this. It was really cool to see the origins of Dofus, looking at its development through the alpha and beta testing phases, and the animations that reflect the really unique humour that Dofus has always had, which I think is really loved by all of us, to be honest. And we got to see some really early adaptations of some of the classes, some of the monsters, and some of these really bizarre animations, which, I mean, they're really quite something.
At this moment, it was actually really cute to look around the room and see the faces of all of the people watching this, myself included, to be honest. We're all in awe and absolutely loving that we have the opportunity to see this in front of us.
Là, ça peut vous donner espoir. Vous pouvez vous dire, mais en fait, tout est possible. Ces mecs-là sont sortis. Donc, c'est ça qui est c'est partir de là pour quand même réussir à faire mal pour la suite de la saison. Ça vous donne une idée de quel temps on a bossé. Et qu'en 20 ans, ça fait faut pas faire mal.
We also got to see some really cool sketches for content that later came in the game, and then we saw some further detailed work around the initial monsters that came later in the game. So Crocoboolia, I think there was a sunflower there, I think what looks potentially like a dragon pig, as well as some of the early ideas for different items within the game. And what I found also really fascinating was that the game at the time had this very blue interface, whereas the beige sort of theme that we came to know and love came much later within the development of the game, and then they stuck with that because it was one of the unique characteristics for the game going forwards, and it became really loved by the fans as well.
I must say that this was a truly surreal moment for us all to see them on stage presenting in front of us, because we're used to seeing Ankama live behind a screen, of course.
We also got to see some really cool initial design concepts for what would later become Frigost in the game. So whilst we knew it was released later in Dofus 2.0, it was originally actually designed for Dofus 1, however it was delayed due to the Dofus 2.0 update. This was just a quick snapshot here from Manaia, capturing our reactions in the audience. At this point we had to start saying our goodbyes, unfortunately. Here was a group photo with Papinaut, the lead developer for Dofus. He's really a great guy, really humble, and really like his approach to the game and his respect for the community. At this point we went out in Lille, we saw a bit of a nice sunset, and we went out for dinner with some of the other content creators, had some really great food, and then hopped on our train with some goodies given to us by Manaia for a day trip in Paris. So we had a little look at some of the typical tourist attractions, had some good food, and eventually then made our way home. And whilst we were in London, it was crazy because we go from the Ankama universe fandom into King's Cross Station, where apparently it was some sort of Hogwarts day where loads of Harry Potter fans all gather and wait for 11 o'clock and wait for an announcement. Unfortunately, they decided to cancel this announcement this year, and it soon turned into lots of booing from the crowds, which was a bit of an experience. And then finally we managed to get back home to our dog with all sorts of merchandise that we got and picked up from our trip to Ankama, and we really had a great time. So thank you to everyone who made it happen. Thank you to Manaia for the invites. Thank you to Single-Malt for the arranging the early stages of the tour and etc., and really bringing the international community together. And a huge thank you to Eslix also for helping sort out some of the VIP access, etc.